Good day, everyone. Good day, good day, good day. Today, we are here for this week's edition of Sidebar Sessions, where our topic will be National Black Business Month. Mom, how are
Yay.
you today?
Good, just a little sluggish and sleepy. I don't even know. I don't know if it's the heat or what, but I tell you, I'm trying to, but I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna perk up.
Well, I look like I'm okay, but my left eye feels like I have a cataract. I can't see anything.
Oh, yeah, I know that when you feel something in there and you can't get it out. And oh man, and especially if it's your contact and it's a little dirty, it could be just a little speck and it's annoying as heck.
My headband is also too tight, but I'm cute.
You know that phrase, tight as Dick's headband? They say it was so tight that it killed him. So I don't know.
Dick. How did they know how tight his headband was?
I don't know. It's like that phrase saying, give one for the giver. And who is the giver? And why do we give one for? You already said. It's so much stuff we say. Crazy is a Bessie bug. Okay, and what is a Bessie bug? Oh, yes.
But yes. Is National August is National Black Business Month. And with everything going on in the world, we've seen the protest. We have seen more emphasis on the Black experience in America and how critical it is to our culture, to the fabric of our country, the disparities related to it. We also did a sidebar session a couple of months ago on racial justice and equality that you guys need to check out. But with the climate of America changing, there's been more emphasis on Black people and the Black experience. And one aspect of that, it is August, is Black businesses and their contribution to our community. So we wanted to come on and talk about that particular topic, but also tell you guys some of our favorite Black businesses and highlight some Black owned companies that you really should consider supporting. So, Mom, what are your thoughts, I guess, on the importance of Black businesses?
Well, for me, it goes deep because I come from an entrepreneurial family. And my grandfather uh, was a business person. Both of my grandfathers on my mom and my dad's side, all of their lives. The one on my mom's side, he owned a barber shop in downtown. We're from Jackson, Mississippi, downtown Jackson on Ferris Street, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then he was a contractor in the community all over. Then my grandfather on my father's side, he owned a little grocery store all of his life. Then my dad owned a grocery store, laundromats, rental property, and we worked in the store. I worked until I was a teenager. So and he did that most of all of his life. So it's just kind of ingrained in me. And of course, the importance of it, especially back in the times before integration, that's the only places we could go. And so I talk about the Ferris Street. And I get this information from my mom and dad. Back in that time, that was a thriving Black-owned business district. You had your, like I said, your barbershops, your grocery stores. They had a place they called, I remember Mama saying, Holmes Dining Room, which was a restaurant, the Alamo Theater. Just up and down that street was nothing but Black-owned and prosperous and thriving. And then, like I said, my dad, we had what you would technically call now mom and pop store, but it was a full-fledged grocery store. I remember people actually getting carts and going up and down the aisles and buying grocery. And, we had a deli, we had a fresh meat counter, we had everything. And it was, it sustained us because my mom didn't even work. It was our livelihood. And I remember the trend, or the also when it began to die down, integration. And that's a topic, is kind of controversial, especially if you talk to older people. And when my dad was alive, he was saying, that killed the Black business, because we had, which was good. Now we had the opportunity to be able to go anywhere we wanted to go, but most businesses, Black-owned businesses, couldn't compete with the white-owned businesses. And, people, they could build bigger, better, nicer, all of that. And we were able to go in, and we went in, but we never came back to our own. And it kind of was a, demise, or I'll say the decrease, or whatever you want to call it, of the Black-owned business. And so I do remember we went from that full-fledged grocery store to where you come and get your beer and cigarettes, your little totes. And thank God, my dad had the forethought to begin to do real estate, rental properties, and laundromats. So, that sustained us when the grocery store part was pretty much gone, was dead. But I say all of that because they were vital then, and they're still vital now. And we do, have to support Black businesses because they're in our communities. Most of the time, they are contributing to the community economically and socially, And so it's very, very important that we support our own, because, a lot of times the businesses aren't getting that kind of support from the counterparts, I'll say. And, of course, I'm saying, you do that when you can, and we still want quality, and we still, have accountability to good service and all of that. But we can do that, and we are doing that. There are businesses that are doing it every day and doing it well. So, yes, that's my experience, firsthand experience with Black business. And then my take on it is that it was valuable then, it's valuable now. We just have to begin. And I think this Black Lives Matter and this whole movement now is kind of resurging the interest in Black-owned business and the support. And it's wonderful. I'm excited about it. And so it, hopefully that'll help push us back and get our momentum going again.
Well, you said a mouthful. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you said. I did see, I come from a long lineage of Black business owners, mom's side, and then my father.
Yes, exactly.
Operating his automotive repair business my entire life. And then seeing that kind of reappear in my generation with the things myself and my cousins are doing. So it's interesting. You mentioned the rise and fall of the Black business in a historical context. For those of you who are not familiar with Farish Street is the main historic Black business district in Jackson, Mississippi. Most southern towns in particular will have them. You'll see it up north too, but in places that are particularly segregated or in some aspects still are segregated, you will find a centralized area that is the heart of the Black business experience. And by the time I came along, Farish Street as a business district was already pretty much dead, and there was a giant fight for the preservation of it. But I'm seeing in my generation, we had a push not so much away from starting businesses, but there was more of an emphasis on the professional aspects, getting people to go to college, become engineers, become doctors, become lawyers, which are Black owned businesses, by
That's
the
right.
way.
That's
Can't
right.
forget
That's right.
professional practices.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a big push to do that, and not so much emphasis on starting our own. The emphasis was on infiltrating other spaces.
Right. Right.
And also there you've got barriers, which we'll talk about in a second. But my generation, I think particularly in the last 5 to 10 years, has really, really, really been pushing toward entrepreneurship,
That's
especially
wonderful.
with the advent of online possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation, everybody you know has a side hustle and they're doing it for themselves.
That's true.
So this is prime time to support Black businesses. But let's talk about some of, we talked about the rise and fall. You mentioned integration being a key turning point in Black businesses, um, kind of trending downward in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing I've noticed and heard in conversation is barriers to entry for Black businesses.
Yeah.
You have old ones that started out of necessity, people supported them and they thrived for a while. But there was a period where you weren't seeing as many started.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can when I think about that, I still think about my dad and things he was telling us to start their business into where it was in conjunction with my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually got an SBA loan. Now, this is back in the 60s, which is rare and unheard of. But I remember my mama saying it was paperwork throughout. I mean, they had to jump through some kind of hoops.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, my dad always had the attitude of, his word was called stickability.
Yeah.
And, he is a not give up person. And so whatever they had to do, they did it. But that was a huge barrier and that was a huge jump in order to be able to do that, because they built a building. And but that kind of stuff still is today. I was reading some statistics and I didn't write the actual numbers down, but the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program, there's a disproportionate amount of Black owned businesses that were not able to get that loan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there we go again. We're in this pandemic, we need this money, but for some reason, we're getting denied that. We're getting denied the loans. We're getting, to start. So those still barriers, they still exist. And, hey, it takes capital. It takes money. And to really, sometimes depending on what type of business, and thank goodness, we have the internet now, and you can start businesses on shoestrings or whatever. But sometimes to get to that next level, it may require extra funds. It may require loans or what have you. And so those barriers, they are real. And so, yeah.
And I'll add to that, I mean, racism is still a thing. It's very much still a thing. If you think about redlining in real estate and other things like that, that also applies to loans for businesses. You've seen and heard the stories of people going and they're putting in the application, and when they show up and you see that it's a Black person, all of a sudden we can't qualify you.
Exactly. I've even heard
experiences.
I was going to say, I've even heard from an actual person that worked in a company, and this is not just business, but this redlining process. When the person put the app in, they, put a little W or something, some sort of symbol to let them know whether this was a Black or a white person. Even though now you can check it, but you don't have to check it. So that's an optional thing. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That's good. And you even see on a microaggression level, if you look at a story like Russell Simmons, things or interests that are attached to Black culture are less likely to be seen as legitimate. No, I'm not going to give you the money to start a hip hop record label because we don't think you'll make the money back. Or no, I'm not going to allow you the funds or the licenses or whatever to start that urban fashion company because we think it's a flash in the pan, it's a fad. We don't see it anywhere in non-Black spaces, so it can't be legitimate until Prada or Versace goes and steals the pattern. That's a whole nother story. There's a documentary about it. But anyway, you see people's hesitance to embrace or invest in that are attached to or adjacent to Black culture. So those are all barriers to starting new businesses. But going back to now, again, having the internet and all these technology advances has opened up some doors in terms of reducing some of the overhead necessary.
That's right.
Start a business and some of the hoops that you have to jump through.
Exactly.
The physical retail space, how you market, so on and so forth.
That's right. And so, which, like I say, is a great thing. And I think that's why, like you were saying, you're seeing this resurgence, especially amongst younger people. And that's just great. Starting all, types of businesses because the entry is easier, I'll say. Some of the barriers don't exist that they did, 20 years ago, literally. And so saying that, I really think this is a time in our history and a period in our history that a door is opening. And you have an idea or you have a dream. This is the time to jump on it because people are more sensitive now. Their ears are open. Some people's hearts are even being open. And so getting in on it now, nothing stays the same. It won't always be like this. So seize the opportunity, to go ahead and open these businesses or start these ventures or, start that nonprofit or whatever. Because you have a greater chance of getting that support and that investment than I think any other time in our history so far.
And I think it's a unique opportunity for those who want to be allies. I see a lot of young people asking how they can support Black communities just in general. Like, what actionable steps can they take?
Exactly.
Put your money where your mouth
is.
That's one way you can do it. But for that particular segment of people, weigh in on why. We talked about them impacting Black businesses, impacting the community. But what is the significance of the Black business? Like, why do we shop there and why do we need them?
You talking to me?
Yes. Wait a minute. Who else is on this broadcast?
The audience. Okay.
Oh, bless.
Yes, blessed assurance. But anyway, I can go to a song. I can go to him. Repeat your question again, please.
Explain why we shop with Black businesses. What is the importance?
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, I'll answer it first. That might clarify the question. We as African American people, there's always a sense of there's sometimes a sense of unsettlement when we shop other places. We were talking yesterday about being the only Black face in a white space. Sometimes you go in a restaurant and you look around and you don't see anybody who looks like you.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how you will be treated.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea whether the product being sold is going to be relevant to you, i.e., makeup. I might not be able to go to a counter and find something that is the same shade as me, but if I go to a Black-owned business, there is a better opportunity or better likelihood of inclusivity.
Exactly. That's like I want to eat soul food. I have a better chance of that food tasting like, really soul food if I go to a Black-owned business, that's going to, So yeah, saying that and the importance, people looking like us, feeling accepted, feeling included, also a sense of pride, that we are doing things and doing things well, we are excelling. We are in our community. Accessibility. The sheer fact that I don't have to drive, literally 30, 40 minutes when there are great products and great businesses in my community. So it's valuable in so many ways. It helps younger people or just, our children, I'll say, to see the possibilities.
That's right.
That you can dream, you can do. This is attainable. And that every store that they walk in doesn't have to, there should be people that look like them, not just consuming, but people that actually own, people that are running the place, those type things. It's no different than us seeing Barack in the White House. Hey, if I can see Mr. Sam that owns this big corporation, hey, I can do it too. I can be, So it has so many connotations and so much value across the board, monetary wise, social wise, just encouragement that, we are valuable and we can do it.
You hit up a couple of important points in there. Convenience. If you missed our Fun Friday on Walmart versus Target, we talked about food deserts and other disparities where basically all the dollars that are generated in our communities end up leaving elsewhere, or you have big corporations that come in and they give us substandard product. Having representation in your community of businesses increases the odds of those dollars continuing to circulate right where you are versus leaving. And then representation mattering. I know who I can be because of what I've seen other people do.
That's right.
When you don't see that anybody else owns this, that, or the other in your community, you never think that you can.
You never think that you can.
Yeah. And furthermore, talking about youth and representation, we were talking about barriers a couple of seconds ago to entry. Most of the Black people I know, not all of them, but most of the Black people I know don't have the privilege of going to mom and dad and saying, can I borrow $20,000 to have that down payment on a house?
Right. That's right.
start my business or whatever the case may be. And a lot of that, whether you like it or not, is fallout from transatlantic slave trade.
That's right.
We're still 400 years later dealing with the aftermath
That's right.
of that. Where
That's right.
equality is one thing, but equity is recognizing the difference and bringing that next person up to the same standard.
That's right.
Starting businesses for us represents the opportunity to create generational wealth in the absence of the glass ceiling in workplaces, because again, racism still exists. You still have environments where people are getting promoted at slower rates or behind their counterparts that are potentially less qualified. You still have the pay gap.
Yes.
We talk about the gender pay gap, but once you get past white men at 100% and white women at 77%, you got a whole nother set of gaps for Black people, Hispanic people, and Asians.
That's right.
When I start my own business, yes, it's risky, but I don't have to jump through those kind of hoops. And I think that's another reason why my generation is starting so many businesses.
Right.
Because we've had enough of that environment and the buck stops there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can control my workplace. I can also create jobs and
That's right.
People that look like
me. That's right. That's right.
So that's another important aspect, job creation.
Job creation. That's right. You begin to create opportunities for others that, you can identify with, or that just need that push and that boost. And so it's important. It's really vital. And it doesn't ever need to die. It needs to continue and evolve. And you said so many things, and both of us did, but it transcends time. That's something those are legacies. Those can leave. It's more than just money. And
So with that being said, one of the ways that you can support your favorite businesses, period, especially Black businesses, is talking about the word of mouth. So we're going to highlight a few of our favorite Black-owned companies. And I'll start with one, our very own Casper Corder of preachandplay.com. If you've been watching us for a while, this beautiful broadcast that we are privileged to have set up for you is curated and produced in the background by Casper Corder of preachandplay.com, which is your resource for church musician training of ministers, as well as building your media ministry. So once again, that is preachandplay.com.
Wonderful. Well, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the Black-owned, I guess, businesses that I will talk about will be mostly from Jackson, because we haven't been here in Birmingham a long time, so I don't know a whole lot of them. But I will give a shout out to my, I want to call her, she's something everything, but my beautician. And it's Salon Royale by Sherry Yvonne. I love her, but she does quality work. I mean, she is excellent. She's caring. She's going to take care of your hair, keeping it healthy and everything. So shout out Salon Royale, Sherry Yvonne. Okay. Then maybe people don't maybe realize that institutions are businesses. So I am a proud graduate. I don't know if anybody can see. Hey.
Wow.
Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, JSU, HBCUs. That's a whole nother institution and a whole nother business that we have to continue to support, whether that's we're attending or giving or what have you, because there was a time that was all we had. We could not go anywhere else. And, now they are, giving world-class education just like any other institution, but they need our funds, and we're still, so there's a disparity. We're still, not getting funds at the rate that our other institutions are, and especially the private HBCUs. They only thrive on our funds, and some have closed, some face accreditation problems, just from a myriad of things, and a lot of that attributes to enrollment. So and now with COVID, oh my gosh, that's opening up a whole nother set. So, support your HBCUs, even if you don't go, send a few dollars over there.
You just brought up something important, and guys, stay tuned. We do have an HBCU versus PWI Fun Friday coming up in the near future. But HBCUs, you talked about their importance and significance. In a lot of cities, they are part of the heart of the economy of the entire city, especially like ones that sit in small towns. The jobs and everything might be chiefly, associated with that university.
That's right.
So it's very important, like a town like Itta Bena,
Exactly.
Mississippi Valley State to be.
Exactly. And like I said, especially with now where, okay, maybe the students are virtual, but they're not there on that campus. They're not there going to those, putting those dollars back wherever those businesses are, back in that community. So yeah, those schools a lot of times make up the community, and they are the economic life force. So right now, a lot of them are thriving off of donations, so we have to support.
And while we're there, you mentioned Jackson State University that has world-class computer science programs. They have good accounting programs. There's a new engineering program that's doing very well. FAMU's great for business. You have Howard University, big law school, Meharry University for medicine.
That's right.
Tuskegee Engineering.
Exactly. Tougaloo College in Jackson, medicine and law. So we have our specialties, and we have our places of excellence, and each HBCU is so unique and has its own story, and it kind of has a life of its own, and so they're just rich. They're rich in history, rich in culture, and if you have the opportunity or the desire, I say at least expose your child to all types of universities. I know with you and Cameron, I definitely said when you all were applying, you're going to put HBCU on your list. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to apply. Now, who you chose, I was leaving that, kind of up to you, and, where the dollars and funds comes in, all of that, and their specialties as well. But you're not gonna dismiss it by no means. So I've given a big shout out to HBCUs. Okay.
And not just the big ones.
No. Yes. The smaller ones are actually the ones really need a whole more. Not necessarily. I was going to say I'm a small by choice. Right. But they still need our support. But yes, all of them. Russ College.
Fisk University.
Okay.
Miles
University now. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Move it on up.
Wow. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's awesome. So I'll start in a category that I know quite a bit about, makeup.
Okay.
I'm actually wearing a product from a Black-owned brand, AJ Crimson. AJ Crimson is a pretty prominent makeup artist in the makeup community. And he has a full line of foundations, concealers, eyeshadows, et cetera, developed with Black women in mind. But today I am wearing on my lips one of the liquid lipsticks, Ruby Who, which has staying power. And it's a beautiful red shade that I think flatters most people. So AJ Crimson is one brand. I'll also highlight Minted Cosmetics that was started by two Black women in response to the nude makeup trend, much like Band-Aids and stockings and everything
that
else.
do not come in our flesh colors.
Exactly. So Minted started off, I believe, with lip colors that were flattering nudes for women of color, but they have since expanded to foundations, to concealers, to eyeshadows, bronzers, and blushes. Beautiful, beautiful line of makeup. So those are just two off the top that I can name. Some of the bigger brands, Pat McGrath Labs, that you can find in Sephora, is Black. She's also a world famous makeup artist. Beauty Bakery was founded by a cancer survivor. Her makeup, she has her own website, beautybakery.com, but also has collaborations with Morphe. So that's another brand you can find on your shelves. And of course, Juvia's Place and Uoma are available at Ulta. So those I think are five I can name off the top of my head. Colored Rain is another one I can think of. The Lip Bar.
Oh, so wow.
Options.
Wow. See, wouldn't I not have known that? That's awesome. That is awesome, because that is a lot of times, especially for, it's difficult to find makeup that complements us, and especially when you start to talking about those foundations and those nudes that actually match, Right. If I have to look at, what is it, don't wear a whole lot of pantyhose anymore, but if I have to look at Coffee and Sunbeam and Suntan, what is that? Anyway.
Seriously, there is nothing in between suntan
and coffee. And
there's no reason for that.
There's no reason when we 10 shades in between. So that's an industry. Hey, anybody out there want to tap into that? Start making us some. Because in the wintertime, I put them on occasion. So, and some people wear them all the time. So tap into this hosiery industry, because that coffee and suntan is not it. Makes me mad when I think about it. Okay. Wait, I'm going to tell you about one other case. And it's still in Jackson, but food. Now, E&L Barbecue in Jackson is Stamps Burger and Big Apple Inn. These are like staples. So if you really want, if you happen to be, passing through Jackson or anything, or if you live there, you please visit these restaurants. Excellent. One is barbecue. Stamps is burgers. They're huge. And Big Apple Inn, they have actually been, a lot of people know about them because they have been featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. A couple of other not HGTV, Food Network programs. They just, just homegrown, everyday food, like a deli, but it's delicious. So that's my shout outs for those.
Food wise, I wanna save my comments on that one for a second.
Okay.
Let's see. Hair. There's a big resurgence in the natural hair movement over the past 10 or 15 years, and a big push for us to have greater ownership in that market, because for the longest time, products made for our textured hair have been made and distributed exclusively by people who do not have our textured hair. Also, we see a lot of our small brands being absorbed by larger brands, which is
Mhm.
good in terms of distribution and availability.
Mhm.
But there's also a trade off to that in terms
Right.
of the amount of control um,
Right.
those companies can have. But I can speak to The Do, founded by Maya Smith. She has a full line of hair products for all hair types. Her flagship product is Mousse Def, which is a texturizing foam
Mhm.
and setting foam that you can use. But she's great for not just product, but product education.
Mhm.
Um, she also has a salon in Macon, Georgia.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Strands of Faith. Strands of Faith was started by Amika Coleman in Mississippi. And it's a faith based hair brand that focuses on quality product and um, quality customer service experience. She hand makes all of her
Oh,
products,
wow.
and she is particularly sensitive to type 4 hair like mine, but her current hair is maybe waist length. And so there's an emphasis on growth. She also has a book that can help you grow your hair from shoulder length to um, waist length. She talks about her journey, but um, highly regarded product, highly regarded entrepreneur.
Wow. Strands of Faith.
Strands of Faith. Mhm. And lastly, in this category, Maven. So another category where there's limited representation is hair itself. If you've ever seen the documentary Good Hair,
Mhm.
Chris Rock explores how weave is sourced.
Mhm.
Uh, but Maven is a Black-owned extension company, and
Mm.
that is where I order my virgin hair extensions from. They also have a program where you can buy the extensions and
Mhm.
book your appointment with a Maven stylist for free.
Oh, wow. That
So,
is
and I can
great.
vouch for the quality of the hair. It's well worth it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, another category, not necessarily Black owned,
Mm-hmm.
but still Black. Um,
Black operated, maybe.
Not necessarily. I
Okay.
don't even know, how to explain. I love museums,
Mm-hmm.
and of course now, with COVID, we can't visit as like we would like to, but civil rights museums, um, like the one here in Birmingham when we first moved here, it's really really good. The one, of course, there's one in Memphis, there's one in Atlanta. The big one is one I was really planning to go to in DC. The reason I say that, support those type exhibits.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new one that opened up in Mississippi that I have not gotten a chance to go to yet. So not necessarily Black owned, but it represents us. And we don't need everybody else going when we don't go.
Right.
And so, and it's our history, and we want those type museums to thrive and continue to stay open,
Mm-hmm.
and explore all of our history, and do it in a good way. So yes. It may not necessarily put the dollar physically in a Black hand, but it represents who we are, and we don't need anybody telling our story the way we can, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, those exhibits are public. So if there's something in there that's not correct, or you don't think it's being represented right, we can say something. So, and plus, it's great knowledge for our children. It's great knowledge for, even adults. I learn something every time I go, so our history, our civil rights museums, there's actually, um, a plantation. There's several plantations, like in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
your dad and I went to one in Natchez that has replicas of slave quarters and all of those, it's some people may not, I left there like kind of just like, oh my goodness, because it's so real. And it's some people, it may be hard to take in, but it's who we are. It's a part of who we are, and I think in order to understand where we're going, we have to know where we're being. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. It's essential to the preservation of culture and the education of the next generation.
Exactly.
Those museums, I'm thinking about Smith Robertson in
Yes.
Jackson, Mississippi,
Yes.
in addition to the civil rights.
That's right. And that is telling the story of Jackson, like your grandma went to Smith Robertson and, so it tells about the Ferris Street experience as well.
Right.
So a lot of, young people don't even know, if you didn't have older relatives that talked about those things, you won't really know until you have museums that decide we got to preserve this history and we've got to educate. So yeah, they're important.
And that's important too when you go and visit cities. If you're doing museums, don't just do the touristy areas. Like, if you go to Memphis, don't hit Beale Street and skip Stacks and the civil rights. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yes, Stacks was great. We went. You're doing yourself a disservice. That's right. That's right. And it's a great way to educate and keep learning. Like I said, I learn something every time.
Absolutely. You mentioned pantyhose earlier. What I was looking for, if you're getting married anytime soon, you're having something custom done, or
I remember that
next spring, there's a company called Designs by Tayosh that has dyed mesh in a variety of skin tones. She has an ivory collection, a blush collection, and then she has a collection that is for darker skin tones. I had actually ordered some swatches when I was there. But don't just settle for what you see in Joanne. Her shop is on Etsy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Designs by Tayosh, Taosh. And also along that same vein is Nude Bar, which specializes in an array of nude lingerie. I think they come in maybe 12 shades. But Nude Bar.
Write that one down. I'm telling you, see, learning something today. That's what I'm talking about. Every day. Well, that was my last category.
Okay. Well, I got a couple of more. Planners. I'm pretty planner obsessed. You have big brands like Happy Planner and Erin Condren and so on and so forth. But if you're looking for more representation of you, I can recommend Gold Mine and Coco. I can recommend Capital Chic, which has a collection in Michael's right now, but they also do custom dolls, custom cutouts that are lifelike and realistic that you can put in your planner. With Purpose XO is owned by a college student who produces planners as well as other accessories and merchandise. And MLP, Mamie Pack, produces a line of beautiful journals, notepads, printables, and other stationery, post-it notes that features us.
Great.
And it's inspirational. So that's planners. And then I have media.
Okay.
Media is kind of a sticky topic, but remember our big media representation, Black Enterprise, I believe, is still Black owned. And so is Essence Magazine.
Yes. Now, I'm a big fan of both of those.
Me too.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of our brands disappear off the newsstands, like you know,
Yes. Yes.
died some years ago, but those two brands are still going strong with our support. But now, with the advent of the internet, blogging,
Mm-hmm.
support your quote unquote local bloggers. You don't just have to go to your newsstand to get no news, to get editorials, so on and so forth. I have a blog, macthemaverick.com.
Yes.
Blavity.com is a great blog. Sorella Magazine, so on and so forth. The list is endless of
Yes.
people who are passionate and care enough to make content specifically
Specifically.
for you. And they're
I know.
regular people. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
have. Yeah, I was gonna say regular people. But when you said media, not necessarily black owned again, but black operated and specific for us. I don't know if a lot of people know AARP CEO is a black woman.
Oh,
And now they have, yes, they have a blog that I subscribe to called Sisters of AARP. And it is just content for the 50 plus sisters.
mm-hmm.
And it's great. It goes from health to wealth to fashion to dating to marriage, everything for Black women of color over 50. So, and I think that's a great reflection because you got a black woman CEO. See, those kind of things trend. They again, they trickle down.
Representation really, really
It
does.
matters.
Yep. So, with that being said, that's just a handful.
Sure.
We want you to tell us in the comments who
Yes,
your
please.
favorite Black businesses
Please do.
are. And if you would like to know more about the state of Black business in general, you can visit usblackchambers.org. So, Mom, in closing, what are your thoughts about Black businesses and how we can support them?
Well, definitely, like you say, support not just with your first support with your mouth. That's right. Advertising a lot of times, most businesses is word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, patronize a black business or, advertise for them. Tell people. Next thing, put your money where your mouth is. Spend the money, go and, physically support them and encourage, people, especially younger people, to start businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have like I said earlier, if you have a dream or goal in mind or something that you a venture that you want to start, why not? Try. Is it nothing fails but a try?
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the ways I say with support. Support by promoting and advertising, or just telling people word of mouth. Support with your dollars, and get in there and start some on your own.
Absolutely. To piggyback off of that, I just would say if you want to support Black businesses, you will support Black businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think the internet and the advent of technology, what you have in your hand, this right here, is making that more accessible and easier than it's ever been before.
That's
like
right.
Google just came out with a tag that can identify Black businesses.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that yesterday. Black businesses can now identify themselves as such. I don't know if Uber Eats is still doing it, but at one point they were knocking delivery fee off of Black-owned businesses because of COVID and what we just talked about PPP.
Mm-hmm.
And half the companies, when we were researching, we highlighted a few national brands, but most of the ones that came to our heads immediately were locals.
Mm-hmm.
Half the battle is buying local.
Yes.
Find your local restaurant to support. Find your local, your barbershops and beauty shops, so on and so forth. Your local repair person, so on and so on. so directly into your communities as much as possible,
Right.
finding Black businesses. And also just make a conscious effort. Like I said, if you really want to support a Black owned business, you will find a way. The resources are out there. We talked about Fair Street, and other historic districts like the Jefferson Street United Merchants program here in Nashville. Go to those websites and to those Facebook pages, and you'll find directories of Black businesses in your area that
That's
you
right.
can support.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, it's mission critical to open up this door. And yes, we are talking about Black businesses specifically. We said,
Yes.
but
That's right.
the opportunities that open up for Black businesses will also open opportunities up for everyone else.
That's
So
right.
when one thrives, we all survive.
All survive. That's right. That's right. That's right. I think you said it all.
All right. Well, just a quick announcement. We have, pre-done this for you today. We want you to like and comment, and also tell us your favorite Black businesses. But it's been a fun summer. We've now been doing sidebar sessions since April or March.
April.
Since April, and we didn't know what to expect. Like, we didn't expect it necessarily to become a theme, but it did.
It did.
And we're glad we did it. So we're going to keep on going, and we're also going to expand how we do it.
Exactly.
So starting in September, you will see us uploaded to YouTube every other Friday. No, every other Thursday. That's right. I'm losing track of my days. You'll see us uploaded to YouTube every other Thursday, and we will actually be live the last Thursday of each month.
Exactly.
So what we want you to do is to continue to follow us on our Facebook page for updates, Sweet Tea Jams on Facebook. You can also catch us on Instagram, but we really want you to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes.
Our YouTube channel is also Sweet Tea Jams. So we'll be uploading there, and sharing to the rest of our platforms. So tell your friends, especially the ones that don't do social media. We are on YouTube now, and you can catch all of the replays of all of our videos in one convenient place. So we're excited about that.
Yay.
And we're also continuing through the end of the year to potentially work on some merchandise.
Yeah.
And continue to work on our book. We'll be giving you some more news about that as the year goes on. Just as a reminder, we started doing this, Mom and I, as a passion product, a labor of love to help particularly mothers and daughters to be closer together and help you guys develop those relationships. But now we're starting to do content for everyone.
It evolved.
Yep. So stay tuned. We have a lot of awesome things in store for you as we move forward. So we love you all, and we thank you for supporting. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Anyway, we've enjoyed our time with you today, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.